This is Lessons in the Challenges of Leadership, the series that enables managers to achieve the remarkable. Podcast, video, short reads. Conceived, developed and presented by Siebert Neethling.
Early in my career, I was asked by the investors in a radio station to investigate why it was struggling to reach profitability. They had poured a great deal of money into it, had experience from running a highly successful radio network in Norway, had a great local advisory board and political goodwill in the broadcast area. Their due diligence and market research had indicated that it should break even by the end of the first year of operations, but they were hemorrhaging money, and there seemed to be very little progress to profitability. I had worked in educational, national charitable organizations and a global brewing company by this stage, and had led teams for about 10 years. So I thought I had a fair understanding of the range of elements required for success. I discovered a lot of issues, most importantly, that the manager of the radio station had committed fraud. And I was asked to run the station for a few months while they searched for a new general manager. It was a fascinating assignment. I had never managed any business even vaguely like that. I had no knowledge of the technicalities of running a radio station and had no experience in media. But with hindsight, those obvious weaknesses were the reason why we managed to turn the station around. I had to focus on the one area that I knew about: building a team. And it just happened to be the one thing that was needed most. Yes, I did have to come up to scratch with understanding the fundamentals of broadcast and the radio business. To start with, I had very little credibility with the staff, so I studied hard and fast to understand technical concepts like the broadcast footprint and line-of-sight signal strength. I also came to grips with the entire business model of selling and scheduling advertising, the station's primary revenue stream. Marketing was a big focus, for the first, but not the last time in my career. I also did a lot of research on radio station strategies. I fondly remember the lessons from the book, Radio Station Turnaround Strategies That Work. But the toughest part, and the most important, was building a cohesive team. There were 6 sections: the talent, which is the great voices and sparkling personalities on air, the music geniuses of the scheduling team, a news team, a sales team, a technical team, and administration. So many personalities, such very different life views and personal ambitions. I think it was fluke, not wisdom, but I focused on fixing the problems of the business, not the obvious interpersonal dynamics. And not being an expert in any of the areas of the business, I chaired meetings, listened, and let the experts tell me what they needed from me and from one another. And in the process, people started understanding one another better. The talent, ever passionate and demanding, actually heard the economic arguments for the first time. The music geniuses were exposed to reasonable arguments about the dominant demographic. The sales team recognized the sense of urgency because the business model was explained by administration. It was a wonderful thing to witness. We lost a few people along the way. I had to remove those who persisted with unacceptable behavior, and the salesperson who lied about sales calls made, and the scheduler who pretended to follow the new approach but secretly persisted with an audience-alienating playlist. And by doing this, the rest of the team started to support my leadership. The mood lightened. We started to have fun at work. And the investors were delighted because we started to be profitable. I wish I had a before photograph, but I don't. But I do have an after photograph. I got the whole team together, and we got a photographer to take a group shot, which we framed and hung in reception with a plaque that said, "Turnaround Team." I still have a copy, which hangs amongst a few other treasured group photographs. Now, as always in this series of ours, there is good theory to support and explain what happened in the radio station. I like the team diagnostic model developed by Wageman, Hackman, and Lehman. When a team is productive, but not positive, you get a driven, competitive, guarded environment. In these bottom-line driven environments, people just try to survive. Burnout is high and retention is poor. It's a generalization, I know, but many professional firms fall in this category. And when a team is very positive, but not productive, there is a lack of urgency. Incompetence is tolerated, but people are connected and have fun. It's a let's party atmosphere. And when a team is low in positivity and also low in productivity, people feel overwhelmed. There is turf protection. No one is having fun. It's let's get out of here. Great teams are both positive and productive. There is a sense of flow. They are proactive and have open communication. If you've ever been part of such a team, you will remember it fondly. And these teams strive to be even better. The radio station started low in positivity and productivity and ended up high in both. Now, I often ask leaders what they think the best pathway is to grow a quality team when you start from a low base, to go from bad to great. And they often say, work on the positivity first and then the productivity. In my experience, that's not right. If you take an underperforming negative group on a team building exercise, for example, those who like one another spend the day together. Those who dislike one another find reasons to hate one another even more, and the introverts have the very worst day of their lives. Ironically, that type of team building only works with teams who are already good anyway. I suggest working on the business first, the productivity side. Fix problems, but do it in a way that demonstrates the values and approach you want to see. That way, positivity closely follows work improvement, and work improvement has positive effects on morale. Also, the good people tend to stay. Those who don't like the new productivity tend to leave. The positivity becomes self-reinforcing. We touched on this in episode 6 on culture. Now, just a final word on the radio station. I spent a bit of mentoring time with one of the bright stars of the newly invigorated sales team. This young man later got to run his own radio station, then larger organizations, and then was appointed general manager of the remarkable O2 Arena in London. Today, he's chief operating officer of AEG Europe, and I recently had the wonderful privilege to work with him and his team all these years later. Great teams empower great people to achieve great things. So we have now looked at individual growth and team growth, not growth in size, but growth in quality, impact, and influence. This is still growth. I can think of several examples where leaders have been more successful by focusing on quality, impact, and influence rather than size. I can cite 2 pretty dramatic personal examples where that has been true. Fairly recently, I experienced that my growing enterprise was far less profitable than the previous leaner operation focused on quality in a narrow niche. On more than one occasion in my career, I found that I was spending more time on mundane activities than on real impact and value to humanity, despite having people in place to manage daily activities. So I am enthusiastically pro-growth, but the nature of the growth is important. And this applies to enterprise or charitable organizations and even government bodies. In the next episode, we will look at growth in size and how to get it right. See you then.